Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Presents Sharing in Session, a weekly Yellow Jackets discussion. My name is Sean,
And I'm Missy.
and we're going to talk about Yellow Jackets Season 3, Episode 5. Nothing fucking happens until the last 5 minutes. Appropriate title this week. No, I'm kidding. Did Ty do that? Is the name of the episode. Um, and I'm being a little bit unkind. I actually Missy, this episode really forced me to look at things because I watched it Thursday night at midnight, as you did,
Okay.
and was extremely aware that nothing was really happening, but I still enjoyed it. And I
hmm
started thinking when it got to the end of the episode and the thing that happened, and this listeners, this will be a full spoiler discussion. So if you haven't watched it yet, turn us off. The last thing that happens was so awesome to me. I remember texting like great episode, and then but as I was texting, I was like amending what I was saying, where I was like great episode, but I don't know that I thought that until the last like 5 minutes. But I still felt like it was a great episode, and
hmm
we live a lot with the characters. And there's some like the opening was great, where it's like, did Misty just storm out of her own house? And then there's like a
I
beat. She
love
comes
that.
back and she's like, yeah, you need to leave. And then it
Right.
cuts, it cuts for the title sequence. There was a lot of stuff like that that I really enjoyed. And
hmm
I started thinking, okay, I recently rewatched Brand New Cherry Flavor, which is an 8 episode Netflix show. It's basically the fifth season of Channel Zero. And it's a mini series. It's lean because it's 8 episodes. So they get to the point. Every fucking episode is like wham, bam. If there's a question set up in one episode, it's probably knocked out in the next one or maybe the one after. I mean, there's a few that go the length of it, but for the most part, it's very good on like set up, deliver. But because it's the format, it's going to be 8 episodes, so
hmm
you have no. And a show like this, I'm starting to think maybe I'm wrong for thinking any show that does this is wasting my time because maybe part of the whole point of this show is like, yeah, we've got great characters. So, I mean, maybe nothing's really happening, but kind of, take it easy and live a little bit with them, enjoy them.
I never thought about it that way, but that makes total sense. Especially since there are lots of times where you're like, "Oh, nothing happened," and like it, like I take the ride and I'm good. I did. This is probably the first episode in all of them, like of the entire series, where in the middle it felt a little bit slow.
The penthouse sequence felt like it dragged like fuck. I was like, really? Come on.
Yeah, that was where I was getting a little impatient. And usually I don't, um, because of the way I connect with characters. I love
Mm-hmm.
character development. Um, Even if nothing is happening, if I'm getting great conversations and whatnot, good banter, and learning things about the people, usually that's part of the ride for me. I did get impatient with the penthouse though. Um, but I mean, in the entire series, this is the first time where I've ever kind of felt it in the
Mm-hmm.
middle. Usually I turn it on and I'm just in, and usually they feel like they're not long enough. I want more.
Mm-hmm.
But that probably also comes from me being a binger. I'm not used to watching week to week, so I want everything in big chunks like that.
Well, they always feel too short to me, but also because we get to the end, and I'm like, yeah, but nothing. And so here's the thing I'm realizing as we're talking too. I think loss is probably very responsible for this feeling in me because I can't help but have this emotional baggage to that show where it's like talking loud,
Okay.
saying nothing.
I don't feel like this is like that. I mean, I've watched Lost too, and you're harder on it. I I don't love it, but I like Lost. In fact, Peter was saying he'd like to watch it all again, and I probably will. when I'm done with this. But this doesn't, in Lost, I feel like whenever you're watching it, I know right when the writer's strike happened, and you can feel it in the show. Like I feel like I think they have a plan here. Most
I
of
do
the time, I
too.
think this is just character development. I don't know why they were dragging out the thing with the penthouse. I guess for some of the Walter Misty stuff, which is cute, but I don't know. I don't know. I didn't like the penthouse thing. Everything else I thought was engaging and interesting, and I wanted to see what was going on. And then when the ending hits you, I just feel like I was sitting there like open jawed, gawking
Yeah.
at my TV, like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, we'll get to that. It was such a great end. Such a great ending.
And it was such a great ending that like I don't even care that the penthouse thing dragged. I mean, that's not, maybe they spent a little too much time with it, but whatever. I think some important shit happened, and that ending hits you. Like it
Yes.
really hits
Yeah.
you.
It does. I think there's possibly something important buried in the penthouse sequence. And I think this is like, and maybe this is my fault, right? This is my baggage, but I think this is where, like, I repeatedly say I think they have a plan, but it makes me worried when I feel like, are we setting up a bunch of stuff that's not going to get knocked down? And maybe that's just me looking into stuff. And when we get to the penthouse, I'll tell you what I think might be
Okay.
important. And if it goes nowhere, maybe that is on me for looking at everything and try. Oh, oh my God, look, Walter's got blue on. That means that whatever. I mean,
Right.
maybe I've become the meme of Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the giant murder board with the
Oh, I don't
fucking
know.
whatever.
I've never even seen that show.
Um, but okay, so did Ty do that? Which again, we have a title that I'm like, it's like last week's with the drunk Travis, like a element
No,
to the title where I'm
the
like,
title makes sense.
it
It
doesn't.
ties. Yes, it does, because it ties it into when she and Van are trying to figure out how to summon her other, and
Uh
she
huh.
tells her the story about Steve Urkel. He always said, "Did I do that?" It's a tie-in with that.
It's a Family Matters reference.
Yeah, it's a family man. It because
I've never seen Family Matters, but so
Oh,
I
okay.
wouldn't have I would not have known that.
Okay,
Okay,
it's a Family Matters reference, and
okay,
it ties in with the whole, like what Van tells you in the episode. That is exactly what happens.
okay,
Um, so it's relevant. It's relevant to the time,
okay. All right, I did not know that.
and it
So
ties in directly with her story because Steve Urkel always, that was like his whole catchline thing. He fucked something stupid up, and did I do that? I don't like sitcoms, but my parents do. My
no,
my
I get it. Yeah,
my parents
I'm
like
not
those
judging you. I'm
sitcoms.
not. Believe me, I'm not judging you.
I know,
Um,
but
so okay, so first of all, the episode starts with something I loved, which is the underground citizen detective network. Oh my God.
that's it. Yeah, that's funny. I uh I love Misty, and this is like, I think this is Christina Ricci's like her best role.
Easily. I mean, nothing against anything else she's done, but I mean, this is for me, this is definitely my favorite.
But yeah, that whole, if she meets up with the coroner and everything, and oh well, is I mean, I hear stuff goes missing all the time. I mean, like that vintage watch that the family from a year ago never got back, but it made a killing on eBay.
Yeah. Oh
So
man, just
she blackmails her way into
but then just this idea that like
the
all
morgue.
these people on this website, like she's infiltrated their lives in some way and can call upon them and has like leverage. It's just this one's a coroner, this one's a this one's a that. Like it's just it makes it seem like it's Skull and Bones or something.
She's done it before, though. I mean,
Yeah,
in
I know the guy that they pour the shit on him and
yeah,
then they're gonna light his lap on fire, right? In season one or
yeah,
two.
that's
Um,
what I was just gonna say. Yeah,
so, but that's what I mean. So it's like we see more and more of this network. I just think it's fucking hysterical.
right.
Um,
Well, that's how she met Walter.
yeah.
I wonder if
So
it's like a thing. Like, do these citizen detective people really exist in some form?
yeah, I mean, famously, Patton Oswalt's now deceased wife caught the Golden State Killer, and she was like basically just a fucking internet detective.
Wait, the comedian?
Yeah, his so there's an HBO documentary called I forget what it's called, it's like Now in the Dark or something, and it's about how his ex-wife before she passed away, but before she passed away, she was one of these like internet true crime sleuths, and she
Okay.
actually caught the Golden State Killer. Like her work led to the arrest of a guy that had it was a serial killer and had been free for decades. Like they never caught him.
Okay.
She fucking found out who it was and he was arrested. It's incredible. So it does
Okay.
exist. And in
Okay.
that documentary, they show how they coordinate with each other. This sleuth community. They talk to different people. She goes to the police station and she asks to look at files and whatever. Anyway, but so there.
So
This
that's
is
basically
referencing an
what this is.
actual. This is
Okay.
referencing an actual like element of modern internet Western society.
Okay.
I just find it funny that like Misty like can access these people and has leverage on them all. You know, it's like
Or she knows how to, she finds the leverage before she
yeah,
contacts them.
yeah,
Which is what I'm
exactly.
sure she does because she's Misty.
So now let me ask you a question. So first of all, when she then presents to Ty, Van, and Shauna that Lottie's dead, right? I
Hmm.
thought it was extremely interesting that Shauna's reaction at first is like, "What? No, no. I just saw her the other day," which
Right.
just sounds like, yeah, people die like it takes like a moment to die. So if you saw them the other day, it doesn't mean they're not dead. And number two, she's like immediately goes into, "Where did you go the other day?" And then
Hmm.
she says, "Well, if anyone had reason to kill Lottie, it's you." And I'm thinking, everyone in that room.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, maybe actually no. You know what? We know what happened between Shauna and Lottie. They don't. Misty does. They don't know that she was. I mean, dude, when in this episode where she was like, "Get the fuck out of my house,"
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
they
We
don't know
know.
that.
Yeah,
We
they
know
don't know.
that, but so that's
But
funny.
Misty doesn't know that either, then.
So, but she might have a little bit more understanding that there was like something going on because she had her over. Shauna asked her over to like watch her, and then got mad that she let her talk to
Right.
her daughter.
So she knew
But
she was there.
it's interesting that because I mean, she literally doesn't miss a beat. She's like, "What? No, no, I just saw her the other day. Where were you?" If anyone had reason, she goes right into it as if she's steering it for the other two who have no idea about her own
Oh.
possible motives. And Misty kind of drops the ball, but I mean, I guess she doesn't know all that stuff about the necklace and what happened with Callie, but that's really interesting. Now looking back on that, that makes me think even more. I mean, maybe I feel like it's too obvious, but like if you were gonna say who out of these people, who do you think at this point would you say most likely killed her? I would say fucking Shauna by like a mile.
Same. Because she has a reason. Because because Lottie gave her daughter the necklace.
Yeah.
And Lottie says it doesn't mean what you think it means, but I mean, we thought it meant sacrifice. That's what it seems to have meant so far. So, I mean, if anybody had, in that room had a reason to do it, I would say Shauna. But
Yeah. And then the fact that she's steering the accusation really makes me think that that's guilty behavior. That's
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, that she immediately turns it on Misty.
I mean, she doesn't miss a fucking beat. She does it right away. And if anyone in here has, and I'm thinking,
Everybody in that room has
no,
resent.
but also like from our perspective, we know she has the most motivation. I
Yeah,
feel like, like
yeah.
so that's okay. That's interesting.
I kind of felt bad. She keeps. I felt bad for Misty, and I was proud of her that
Yep.
that Shauna goes in that direction, and that Misty stands up for herself and says, if any of you think that I had anything to do with this, then you are
You're not my
not my
friend.
friends. And
Yeah,
then she storms out of her own house,
that was so good.
which was just, yeah, wonderful.
So now let me ask you a question about the 96 timeline. This just dawned on me. What are the chances that other Ty burned down the fucking cabin? Because now that when that thought popped into my head, I was like, oh, that almost seems like a no-brainer, actually. And I think it hadn't even occurred to me, and it hadn't occurred. It's obviously not occurred to any of them.
It had occurred to me, well, it occurred to me while I was watching this because, like last time we recorded, you asked me if I thought that it was other Ty.
Hmm.
Uh, in this episode, I think we get other Ty
We do
because
for a moment at the end.
no, more than that. In the current timeline, it
Oh,
because all right, she gets that phone call, and her and Van go and meet Simone and Sammy at the park, and then later, and she goes to talk to her son, and you see him like
run
walk
away.
run away, and he looks upset, and then Simone takes him. But when she talks to Van later and tells her what happened, Sammy Sammy says something about "you're not my mommy, you're not my mommy anymore," and that so I think he knows, like he doesn't know what he knows, but he feels it.
Hmm.
And then when she tells Van, and it's the way she says it, because she says, "How do you feel about going on a road trip?
Yeah,
I need a change of scenery. I need to get out of this fucking house," or something like
yeah.
that. That's not Ty. That's other Ty.
Ooh,
I'm almost positive. When she is other Ty, she says everything is very, very, very direct.
I love this.
Her little boy, yeah, I forget exactly what he said, but it's something about "are you not my mommy anymore?" or you're not my mom. But I think
Senses it's not Ty, it's other
it's not
Ty.
her. Right. Hmm. And then shortly after that is when she tells Van, let's get a change of scenery. I need out of this house. But I mean, it's just in the way she says it, but I'm like, I feel very strongly that it is not her.
I'm with you on this. I love this. I had not caught this, but I think you're exactly right. And I can't wait to see where they're going too, by the
But
way.
yes, at the very end, right when she is about to pull the trigger and her hands are shaking, and then they stop and she says
Yeah.
everything's going to be okay, that is other Ty.
Yeah, for sure.
And she was going to shoot him.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they show the bullet hole. It's literally right between the eyes on the fucking smiley face at
Oh,
Van.
I didn't see that. I
Yeah.
because I was probably because Travis jumps into the scene and knocks him
Yeah.
out. Like I don't remember looking at the tree. Like I think my eyes followed them.
I,
But
I saw it the second time, I think, where it was like they do a quick cutaway close up and it's literally right
okay.
between the smiley face's eyes.
Well, yeah. Other Ty is she's she's very direct. She's very pragmatic, and I liked that they were trying to figure out how to summon her, though.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought that was very cool.
Like yeah, because that seems like something you would want to do if you're trying to figure out how to stop it or live with it or whatever. Like, you got to know how to control it.
Well, and it dovetails with what Shauna and Melissa talk about not being afraid of the bad parts, right? So it's
Hmm.
like if you have to live with it, you know, like she fought so long to suppress it, and now she's trying to call it back. So it's like at some point, it's like maybe there's like, is there like an even keel that we can find? And I think that
Hmm.
it's starting to kind of apply to a lot of different people.
Right. Last episode too, you said that you thought that Shauna and Melissa clasping hands was like going to be like very, very important in the grand scheme of things. And I think you're right on because we get that again in this episode.
There's something about the way that ending. So, like, first of all, they use "Rid of Me" by PJ Harvey, and the lyrics to the chorus are like, don't you wish you never met her," which is extremely on point. And now we have Shauna convincing Melissa to inflict, like a grievous wound on Ben, and she does. And the fucking smile that lights up her face
Yep.
afterwards. That's what I meant last week when I said I think she is going to be fucking bad. So,
Oh
and
yeah, and
also
they absolutely bring out the worst in each other.
100%. And so think about this. So last week I was saying how Kirsten looks at Shauna as this, she's got this savagery that she's stuffed into this domestic situation in order to control it, and it's bubbling, and we're
Hmm.
seeing it in both timelines.
Right.
Melissa's bringing it out of her in 96, and she's going to show up and I think bring it out of her in the present. And here's something that occurred to me, because at one point they have an interaction earlier on in the episode where Sean is like, "Why do you even like me?" And she's like, "You're
Hmm.
different out here. I mean, Jackie treated you like shit and Jeff treated you like your dirty little secret." But and I was like, "Oh, in the current timeline, guess who's going to be in danger? Because guess who fucking hates Jeff? If Melissa
Oh
comes
shit.
back into Shauna's life, she is going to fucking hate Jeff." So that is a possible tension point right there. Like a possible, like, you are you going to have to choose? Like, I don't know, but
Well, and something I found interesting too, all right, Melissa makes her a she brings Shauna a present, and it's a knife sheath that she
yeah,
made. And I just thought that was interesting because if you look at that as like a metaphor for their relationship, Shauna's the knife, Shauna's the
yeah, oh
blade,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Melissa's the shelter.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
And then
fucking
when they clasp
awesome.
hands at the end, this time they're bloody hands.
Oh, that was such a great. Oh my God, it was so good. It was so
Or
well
rather,
done.
Melissa's hand was bloody, Shauna's was not, but she very intentionally puts her hand to hers and
Yep, share the blood.
like, yep.
Oh my God.
And the way some of the others, like Van sees it.
Oh, she sees it big time. Yeah, she sees it big time.
Yeah,
They
like
focus on her.
she reacts to it. Some of the others see it too, but like you know that Van saw it and has thoughts. But yeah, I think that they bring out the worst in each other. They're bad for each other, and it's going to be bad for everybody.
Yeah, and
And it's probably going to be bad now. And
and
now I'm
100%.
more concerned because I really love Jeff.
I really wonder. Whereas Shauna is the savage that stuffed herself into a domestic straitjacket to eliminate that, to try and suppress that. I have a feeling maybe Melissa, like, it's like it's like the metaphor where it's like you got the friend that casually does hard drugs, and the other friend that doesn't do drugs and tries it once and his life is ruined, right? It's
Hmm.
like that. It's like the savage one and the one that's like meek about it, and the first time she gets her hands dirty, like, life changed. So I'm wondering if she's like a fucking psycho, like a straight up
Hmm.
like murderer, or who
Oh, I
knows,
don't know.
but I I reiterate once again, she is really going to be a huge character in this show going forward. I mean, we feel her presence, and she's not even come in yet.
Right. Well, and I don't know. I get the feeling she needs to attach herself to somebody else.
Hmm.
Somebody who is more powerful, that she'll feed it and be like the like a like a second. I don't think she could do it on her own. At
Yeah,
least not when
maybe
she
not when she was younger, but I'm
not when
wondering if
she
she
was
grew
younger.
into
Maybe
it.
she's changed, but just the kind of personality she seems to have. I mean, I don't know. I'm weird with people, but I usually read people fairly well. I
Hmm.
don't think she's a leader, but she wants to align herself with a leader that she can influence. I think she's
Hmm.
that kind of person.
Hmm. I was so convinced because I really am rooting for Ben, and so I guess you could say it's obvious that they weren't going to kill him, that that was going to happen at the end. But I mean, they like I was literally like biting my nails. You know, I'm like, oh my god, come on now, come on, this
Yeah, I don't
can't
know
be
about
it.
that.
This can't be
Like,
it.
yeah, I mean, they've killed two big characters already.
Yeah,
I, I mean, and we don't know who survives. Like, I thought he was a goner. So, I mean, I was surprised by the ending because I was sure that Ty's other was going to kick in and she was going to nail him. Like, I thought he was toast.
and you know, he wasn't just my first boyfriend. He was also my first
My
amputation.
my first amputation. Yep. Yeah, the way she says it.
Because it's like she says, "You're my first boyfriend," and everybody's rolling their eyes because they're like, "You clearly don't understand what boyfriend means." And
Right.
then she says, "And amputation."
And my first amputation, and oh, I fucking love Misty.
Yeah,
She's just delightfully unhinged. And
and and
Christina
and
Ricci just she's wonderful.
it's another example of like where the young, you know, like with Nat. So teenage Nat, like, dude, she sounds exactly like Juliette Lewis. There's times when she says stuff
Hmm.
where I'm like, it's like I'm hearing Juliette Lewis. You know what I mean? Like even
Hmm.
beyond not just Juliette Lewis's character Nat, but like Juliette Lewis. So it's really interesting. I'd love to know like how they paired these, you know, the actresses together. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I just, man, really, they all
Because
do such a great job.
yeah, they fit so well, some better than others, but yeah, so Sophie Thatcher and Juliette Lewis are great together. The one who plays Misty,
So it's
the young one.
Samantha Hanreddy is Team
That's it.
Misty.
Okay. Yeah, her and Christina Ricci, like they fit well. The the two Shaunas fit well.
Yes, Sophie Nélisse.
Yeah. And Liv Houston, and
Yes,
like they're all really, really well matched.
they're really well matched, but also like Liv Houston looks like a different person. Not exactly, but like they're clearly method acting this to a point because she is almost gaunt at this point.
Yeah.
They're living in the wilderness, and that's just another thing where it's like, oh yeah, this is, you know, this isn't Lost, where it's just like, or like, you know, there's so many shows that like I was just talking about The Walking Dead with somebody and like why I hate the show, and the first thing I always come, other than Andrew Lincoln, that always comes out of my mouth is like, all the fucking lawns are mowed. Like the second season, they're like walking around this deserted town with zombies, and the fucking lawns are all perfectly manicured. Like, are you fucking kidding me? So I really like the attention to detail, like that method acting that an actor can do. I like when everybody involved in the fucking, you know, project is like, well, let's do that. Like, you know, let's not just like, oh yeah, it's fine. You know, the lawns don't need to be overgrown, or, you know, we don't have to make the actors lose weight or whatever. I mean, it's just, it's impressive to see. So the penthouse, I enjoy Walter less and less. I still like him, but I'm there's just like I love Elijah Wood and I like the character, but the way they're using him sometimes, I
Yeah.
start to get a little bit batty. And this was a great example of that, where I was like, oh, okay, they're the Geek Squad, like,
Hmm. I mean, yeah, I like the character, and I like when him and Misty share scenes together, they're very good.
mm-hmm.
Like, but I don't really like how they're using him either. Although, uh, that whole thing about I know what makes her toes curl. That
I was literally just thinking
I
about
love
that,
that.
but also because I don't know that he actually knows what that means exactly.
Right,
Like I get
because
the
I
sense
don't
they have
think
not had sex.
right, I don't think they've had sex.
No, I don't think so either. So, um,
Well, especially since like when she does uh get pissed at him and everything, she doesn't say like I can't believe I let you touch me or something like that. She says I can't believe I let you give Caligula a bath.
yes, very odd, very fucking odd. Um, eh, yeah, I don't know. The penthouse was largely frustrating, but here, okay. So first of all, and I had a flash of insight and I lost it. I couldn't get it back. I backed it up and I was like, I don't know what it was, but there's something about the way Misty is talking to the guy at the front desk at the hotel, because I'm like, she like, he's like, oh no, I wasn't here. Mike was on duty or whatever, and then she's like, oh well, thanks for nothing, Cliff, or whatever his name was.
Yeah, it was Cliff.
So I'm like, wait a minute, did did she come in and like introduce herself, or does she know them? I was like, okay, well maybe if Lottie's been staying there, she knows them. But then you realize she didn't know that she lived there when she was a kid, and she didn't know that she had been living there now. So I'm like, okay, there's something about this struck me as odd, but whatever it was, it just evaporated. So it might have been nothing. But with the father,
Hmm.
with Lottie's father, he says, he says something about, well, maybe it's one of those, something that he references a nutso cult, and then she's like, well, maybe one of them pushed her down the stairs, and he says that was an accident. And Artie down at the station knows his foundation won't see a dime if he says anything but that.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean? Like that implies that he knows. Like I mean, I don't
That
even
he
know.
knows, right, that he knows something, or I mean, unless it's just because she comes from this ritzy family and her dad was like this big business guy, like maybe he doesn't want any of his daughter's cult kind of stuff influencing his business, like
Okay,
that. Like
that
it
would
seems like
make.
the kind of thing rich families would,
I don't
well,
want a
I'm just going to pay
scandal.
this to, right, we don't want a scandal. I mean, that's kind of how I took, because he seems like that kind of,
Yeah, it's 100%.
like he was that kind of guy. And like she had said she had gone to all kinds of they just kept sending her to shrinks and medication, and he probably just, my crazy daughter and her crazy cult.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, but also like he obviously, like he's elderly and he's got,
Not all there, but so
yeah,
he's obviously
something.
threatened somebody about. So he's cogent enough to have known this and threatened somebody about this. And
Right.
I go back to this idea, like when they say, oh, at the beginning of the episode, Missy says they're calling it an accident. She fell down the stairs, and I'm thinking, there's candles all over the stairs. and
Right.
and then we see it's in like an employee area, like a back, a service area of the hotel. So because
Yeah.
we didn't know what that was at first, right? It just looked like, where is she? Some weird basement, or
Right.
so it's like, do the stairs to the heating and air conditioning and piping in this hotel commonly have candles lining the stairs? Like, I mean, you saw candles, right? I'm not
Yeah,
wrong. Okay.
yeah, I saw candles too. Is it a? I don't think it's a hotel though. Like I thought it was just one of those fancy, like old apartment building. Like
No, you're right. It's like Rosemary's Baby.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's what it
like
is. You're
that.
right. It's a building. It's not a hotel. You're correct.
But yes, I did see candles. But yeah, I caught that too. I meant to write it down and I forgot about it. With, with the dad,
Yeah.
that he obviously either he knows something or he just didn't want
Yeah.
any scandals about his crazy daughter and her crazy cult.
It's probably the latter.
That was my instinct, but you know,
I mean, you never know, but
but then
that,
he's by doing that, even if it's just that, then he's still stopping they're not going to
yeah,
investigate it. So
right. It's still important to a degree, but
right,
it would be if he's involved, it would be ridiculous, right? So I
right,
think you're right. I just needed that context that you provided, so thank you, because I was like missing something.
okay.
That's the episode. I mean, I don't feel like, is there anything else you had notes on that we didn't cover?
Coach Ben is the bridge home.
Yeah, I hated that dream sequence or vision, whatever the fuck it was. That was even
Whatever.
worse than the other one. Like, but it's
I don't know.
fine.
See this one didn't bother me.
It just
I
looked dumb to me. It looked like that like the guy that the Grand Budapest
Gulliver's Travels.
Hotel. No, no, I can't think of the
Oh,
director's name. He did Moonrise Kingdom. Whatever. He's got a very distinct visual style that, while is somewhat pleasing, he's also just he annoys the fuck out of me, and it
okay,
just reminded me of that. I don't know. It's just like I got the metaphor, but it's just the way that they put it on screen looked ridiculous to
right.
me.
But I mean, she was high on gas, so I mean, you're probably going to see wonky shit.
And I felt like that could have been a longer scene. Like I felt like it was very like I don't know. I expected a little bit more from that scene. I was hoping. I don't know what I was hoping, but I was hoping for
Okay,
something more than that. So I
okay.
don't know.
Well, what I found interesting is that before she went in, she told Travis that he's the only person she can trust.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. And I mean, we don't really have a context for why she feels that way, but and he felt guilty because he threw her under the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually I actually liked that whole exchange, and I mean I thought the dream sequence it did what it needed to. It wasn't overly long.
It was short. That was nice,
You
but
know,
I expected more from the cave. Like I wanted to see something of the
okay.
cave. I was hoping there would be.
I think we will get more of the cave, but not today.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that might like it's probably going to become relevant. Getting like they're going more and more tribal and they're leaning into a lot of
Yeah.
the shamanic kind of stuff. Like they're going to go back to that cave. There are going to be more visions. Like
Yeah.
that might be something that runs through the show. Probably not always with the same people, but I don't think that's the last time we're going to deal with it.
I don't think so either. And I want an explanation for what it is too. I mean, I don't need everything explained. You know, we talk about this
Right,
on the show all the time, but in this case, like, I don't want it to just be like they go there, get a vision, and leave, and because then
right,
it just seems like lazy writing. Like I need a little
right,
bit something more than that.
right. To know where it comes from,
Or
or
like I don't even need to know where it comes from, what it is, but it needs to tie into something else that's important.
hmm
You know, like I want them to find like another KUH thing of like, oh, here's tanks of some, you know, I don't know, some gas, like something. I just want something like something there. Doesn't have to be explained, but it can't just be like, oh, whenever we need a vision, we'll just throw them in the cave for a couple minutes and then we're good. We can get,
Right, right. Right. I mean, as long as they don't lean on it too much. Like, I think it could be an interesting tie-in with the story, but I don't want to see visions every episode.
yeah, exactly.
So,
Or yeah,
within reason.
within reason.
Um,
I agree.
the other thing I wanted to call out is did you get the impression when after Shauna and Melissa go and pay a visit to Ben and fucking hamstring him, um, did you get the impression when they come out, they like everybody else seemed like they knew they were going to do this?
Oh yeah, they did 100%. I mean, they basically there was a conversation about it. How do we make sure he doesn't leave? Whatever. And then Shauna said, probably Shauna, or maybe Melissa said, like, oh, easy, we'll do it. I mean, they were acting as agents of the camp, 100%.
Okay, that's okay. That's what,
Because at first,
because it happens.
the way it sets up the first time I watched it, you think they were pissed at the verdict and they're going to kill the motherfucker, right?
That's
That's
what
what it
I
looks
thought was
like.
happening. Right.
Yeah.
And then she cuts his Achilles tendon, but and he's screaming and you're thinking, okay, like everyone's going to hear that, and then
They're all standing out there waiting
they're
to,
all right there.
yeah.
Right. And Nat's like, you don't have to enjoy it so much.
That's
Like
why
I got,
she sounded so much like Juliette Lewis when she said it. It was great.
yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. But yeah,
Oh,
sometimes people come together and bring out, good things in us, and then sometimes people come together and horrible things happen that wouldn't have if they hadn't met. And I absolutely get the feeling that that's where the Shauna Melissa thing is going.
yeah, 100%. And I just think it's going to blow up in the past, probably next episode. And you're getting your factions. It's not quite as divided. It's not like they have separate camps and they're like, doing midnight
Hmm.
strikes on one another, but we're
Right.
getting factions. But I
Yeah,
think it's
not
going to
yet.
blow up in the past and then we're going to see it happen again in the current timeline.
Yeah, and I think you're right that Melissa is like she's gonna be a big character. It's episode 5. Like we haven't met Hilary Swank yet. Like it's
Yeah,
got to
but
be her.
I mean, she's breathing down the neck of the current timeline, and the way that she's doing things. The thing that makes me like some of the things that makes me think now, in retrospect, seeing this episode, that she may have like gotten a bloodlust that didn't go away, like the bathroom stalking. That's like straight
Mm,
up slasher shit, right?
yeah,
Like
with the weird phone, the weird wilderness phone.
that's creepy as fuck, and then also probably the breaks. I don't think she showed up at Misty's job and locked Sean in the freezer. But I mean, then the other thing is like, is she perpetually acting as an agent of the wilderness? Like if they created this thing or whatever. I mean, my egregore theory might not be, completely on, but if they're now thinking like, oh, well, if we do this, it'll reward us. Like, if that's has she been doing that the whole time and like what does that mean for the overall group? I don't know. It's there's a lot of interesting questions. We're halfway through the season and I'm hoping we've just reached the top of the roller coaster and we're going to start coming back down. I hate roller coasters, but I'll use the metaphor. Because I want to start picking up speed. Like this is
Yeah,
fine. I enjoyed hanging out with the characters, like I said at the top of our episode, but like, come on.
right. There are things that we need to know,
Yeah,
and we need to
exactly.
get there.
Or we
Like
just need to. I want shakeups. I don't just want
I want,
cutesy.
right. I want to get to like I want to see those fucking animal masks.
Yeah,
The 96 timeline, the ones we see, like when we see that skunk looking mask, in the
Yeah,
opening sequence with the pit girl. I want to see that kind of tribal, feral Lord of the Flies bullshit. That's what I
yeah.
want.
Well, you're not going to see it in summer, like some of it, because those are obviously winter duds. But like
Right.
you can see some masks, but
Right. Like I want to start seeing more of, obviously they build a, I don't want to say religion, but
yeah,
that,
belief
but
system. Ben says it last episode. I don't
yeah,
understand your belief system.
right. Okay. So we have seen images that lean into this kind of beliefs. I want to know about their practices.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, that's the way the occult works. Is
Right.
like with Nat, she's like, we'll draw for it when they're talking about the firing squad because that's what we do for everything. As long as they keep perpetuating their belief system, it will give them rewards. Like that does actually work to some degree. I'm not saying if
Mm-hmm.
you like make a belief
Right.
system, you can win the lottery, but like that's the way that you do things. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
have a group of people and you just keep doing it, like eventually. So that's where we are, and I want fucking more. So
Yep.
next episode, is called Thanksgiving Canada.
Oh, okay.
Canada is in parentheses. I don't know what that's about, but we'll be back next week. Eh? Eh? We'll be back next week. Yeah, that's terrible. I'm sorry. But I love Canada. The most polite people of all time. Um, but until then, for the Horror Vision sharing session, my name is Sean.
Am I Missy?
Hapless teenagers beset by demons in the woods. A strange new drug that turns art into murder. A can't beat a deal on a new house with a horrifying past. A video game that might usher in the apocalypse.